We have massive news. Apparently, we have a major scandal on our hands. The New York Knicks are suing the Toronto Raptors, and apparently, they're suing them due to a former Knicks employee who is set to join the Toronto Raptors, stealing information and sending it over to the Raptors. But here's the biggest part of that. It was the Raptors that asked him to do that. We're going to break down who stole the information, what information they stole, and what this all means for the Knicks and the Toronto Raptors moving forward. We're going to break down all of this and so much more today. Let's get started. The New York Knicks are suing the Toronto Raptors. This was first reported by Ian Bagley of SNY, and Sports Illustrated then went ahead and covered it themselves. Apparently, the Knicks have filed a lawsuit against the Raptors over confidential information. The New York Knicks are suing the division rival Toronto Raptors, alleging a former employee illegally procured and disclosed proprietary information. Now that's a bombshell. That's a major bombshell from SNY and Ian Bagley here. If the New York Knicks former employee stole files, that's already a breach of contract. But if he gave them to the Raptors, that opens up a whole new can of worms. But a lot of fans have been asking, who stole the information in the first place? According to SNY's Ian Bagley, the former employee from the New York Knicks that shared this information to the Raptors was Ike Azotam, a new Toronto hire that had been employed by the New York Knicks since November 2020. Now, this guy, Azotam, was a former video coordinator and a stat analyst for the New York Knicks before he joined the Toronto Raptors. That's important to note because then it goes to the point, what files were stolen and what were the files indicating? In a statement by an MSG spokesperson, they stated that Azotam illegally took thousands of proprietary files with him to his new position with the Raptors. Thousands of files were sent to the Raptors. I saw a number upwards to 3,000. That means close to or above 3,000 files were sent by Azotam to the Raptors. But a good point and a good question asked by a lot of fans were who were the files sent to by Azotam? Well, thanks to SNY Ian Bagley, we have this information too. The suit alleges that the former employee, Ike Azotam, illegally procured and disclosed the proprietary information and shared it with members of the Raptors, including head coach Darko Rajakovic and player development coach Noah Lewis. Azotam was hired by Toronto earlier in the offseason. So he stole this information and gave it to the new head coach of the Toronto Raptors and their player development coach. Two key people who are going to be an influence on what plays the Raptors run next season and how they act on the court. And they stole these files and shared it with the Raptors just so they could have this information to potentially prepare for next season? Talk about desperate. Try to come up with your own things. Don't steal things. But then the question goes to, what exactly did they steal? What files out of the thousands of files stolen did they steal? What were they about? What were they regarding? Because if a lawsuit was involved, you gotta imagine it was very, very significant files. And at least according to SNY's Ian Bagley and of course Sports Illustrated, they were very significant. These files included confidential information such as play frequency reports, a prep book for the 2022-2023 season, video scouting files and materials, and more. The MSG spokesperson continues by telling Bagley the following. Given the clear violation of our employment agreement, criminal and civil law, we were left with no choice but to take this action. Mind blown. So they stole a prep book for the 2022-2023 season, video scouting files, and play frequency reports? You basically stole the main major files that the New York Knicks needed last season to understand what to run, how to run, and where they want their players in a position to win. Where their players need to be on the court in order for them to have the best opportunity to succeed. All of this information was stolen by Azotam and give it to Toronto. If I were the New York Knicks and I found out that a former employee that I had not only broke his contract agreement by violating one of the terms in the agreement, but he stole files, significant files, to help the New York Knicks get better and their player development, and shared it with a division rival in the Toronto Raptors. So that way, when we face them next season, not only are they more well prepared, but it gives the Knicks such a disadvantage against the Toronto Raptors now that the Raptors have all of this information. Not only is it not fair, but it opens up the door for other people to do things like this if it is not handled strictly and in the best way possible. And I think the NBA is going to take swift action among the Raptors and the employees involved in this situation, because this is not only a very bad look for the Toronto Raptors, it's a very bad look for the NBA. And the New York Knicks do not need anything else going against them heading into a new season. We could have avoided all of this, but they chose to steal files that were not theirs, share it with a rival team to hopefully help their own position in that new organization. It's not only disgusting, it's sick. I understand you want to get better and enjoy your career at a higher scale, but do that on the merit of your own work. Don't steal other people's work and pass it off as your own, and then also try to make sure that the Toronto... Don't steal other people's work and try to pass it off to other teams and try to get them to understand what the New York Knicks are trying to run. So at the end of the day, when you face them, you have a big advantage over them and potentially could beat them because you know what they're going to do and what they're going to run. You stop making it basketball when you start predicting what other people are going to do. Keep it basketball. Don't cheat. This is a Spygate all over again, it seems like. Stop it. This is not the way any organization should be run. This is a major scandal and something not to take lightly. And then after this was reported, more information came out from SNY's Ian Begley and Sports Illustrated, giving us information about Toronto's involvement in this matter. And according to Ian Begley of SNY, Toronto conspired to use Azotam's position as a current Knicks insider to funnel proprietary information to the Raptors to help them organize, plan, and structure the new coaching and video operations staff. The suit alleges that Azotam violated a confidentiality clause in his New York contract that required him to maintain the secrecy of all confidential or proprietary Knicks information. Jaw dropped. What? So the Toronto Raptors were the ones that initiated this and told Ike to steal these files? These key files that they're obviously going to use to prepare for key games against the Knicks next season? That's what happened? So Ike obviously is definitely involved. He's the main issue. Azotam is the one who stole those files. So he's definitely a main part here. But the other big part here is that the Toronto Raptors told him to steal these files so they could use them to plan against the Knicks for next season. My goodness. So you're not fared against the Knicks, right? You're not scared of us, right? But if you're not fearing us, if you're not scared of us, then why do you need to steal files about the Knicks so you can game plan to prepare for the Knicks? You really need to beat the Knicks that bad that you need to steal files on what we have, what we run, and what we're looking at in order for you to compete against us? Does that make you feel better? This is not only a major lawsuit. This is a major issue and problem here that the NBA not only has to address, but address quickly. And then after that information comes out, if you think it couldn't get any worse, folks, I'm sorry, it does. Look at this now. This is from Yahoo Sports. The suit specifically alleges that Azotam shared his Knicks-owned Synergy account with the Raptors, which gave Toronto access to the Knicks-edited game films, reflect the knowledge, expertise, labor, and skills of the Knicks scouting apparatus, and thus give the Knicks a competitive advantage over its competitors and are not known or readily ascertainable to anyone outside of the Knicks. And it was reported that the files were accessed over 2,000 times by the Raptors personnel, which means that they went into the files that were shared in that Synergy account for the Knicks, their game files, the film, all of that, and they reviewed and watched it 2,000 times on the Raptors' end to not only understand the New York Knicks, what they're doing and what they're running, but to also game plan for them and facing the Knicks next season. Over 2,000 times they accessed this footage just to understand what the New York Knicks were doing so they could get a clear advantage over the Knicks and everything that they were going to run and do for next season, or at least get an idea of it. This goes way beyond theft because now you're game planning to take wins away potentially from the Knicks for next season because you think you know what they're going to run given the talent and the players and all of the work that went into the files that was stolen and given to you and then accessed by you over 2,000 times. If it wasn't for security at MSG finding out this information and having this suit given to these guys, they might have continued to do this all up until the Knicks saw the Raptors for the first time on December 1st next season. If you think about it like this and all together, it's wild. This is such a major scandal. I can't wait to see what the NBA does in regards to this. Oh, and again, if you thought we were done, we're not, because every time we try to close the book on this, another report comes out to make it just a little bit worse. You thought those are the only files they stole? Think again. According to Yahoo Sports, per the suit, Azotam allegedly sent the defendants proprietary information from the Knicks on the Pacers, the Nuggets, and the Mavericks that included play frequency reports, specific player tendencies and scouting, strategy analysis with offensive and defensive notes, play breakdowns, and opposition play research. So you steal files from the New York Knicks, not only for the Knicks and their players, but from the Knicks about other teams and their main players. When does it stop? Are you serious? You don't have your own reports you can look to? You have to steal other teams' reports to see what they see about teams that you don't? This is absolutely ridiculous. What a situation we have on our hands here. But one question that I had was why and how was the Toronto Raptors' new head coach involved in this? Well, thanks to Yahoo Sports, we know that too. The Knicks, who are seeking damages from the suit, alleged that the Toronto Raptors' new head coach needed the information to prepare for his first season as an NBA head coach. And according to the suit, as noted here by Yahoo Sports, as a first-time NBA coach, the defendant, Rajakovic, would be expected to bring his own organizational structure and coaching method. Apparently, given his non-traditional path to his head coaching job, he did not have his own, so he chose to exploit the Knicks' methods. Just a reminder, the New York Knicks and the Toronto Raptors are set to face off 4 times this upcoming season, with the first meeting scheduled for December 1st. Wow. So this head coach, apparently, as the suit alleged, didn't have enough confidence in his own coaching methods. So to help him and his team and his staff and the players that he's getting now as being the head coach of the Raptors, in order to help them more, he wanted to take this information, understand how other teams were looking at his team, but also how other teams were looking at other teams, and potentially use that in a way to graph and form his own particular way and method of how to coach this Toronto Raptors team. And if you ask me, that's a very, very poor way to run any franchise or any team. In my opinion, this makes the Raptors head coach not only look lost, but look weak. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. I would assume that he would be fired as well too, but if not, and he stays the coach, I don't know how any of the players on the Toronto Raptors are going to respect him after this information came out. It just doesn't make sense to me. And speaking of the Toronto Raptors, you knew they couldn't stay silent on this long. They also issued a statement regarding the Knicks suing them. According to the Toronto Raptors and MLSE, their parent company, they stated the following. We received a letter from MSG on Thursday of last week bringing this complaint to our attention. MLSE responded by promptly making clear our intention to conduct an internal investigation and to fully cooperate. MLSE has not been advised that a lawsuit was being filed or has been filed following its correspondence with MSG. The company strongly denies any involvement in the matters alleged. MLSE and the Toronto Raptors will reserve further comment until this matter has been resolved to the satisfaction of both parties. That right there is a statement saying, well, I hear what you're saying. I don't agree with it. I'm not involved. It might be true, but even if it is, I'm not involved. It's not on me. We spoke with them already, and I'm not sure about what this lawsuit is, but when I know more information, we'll get back to you. That's basically saying, I know about the lawsuit. There's nothing positive I can say right now. I'm going to issue a statement so I can at least say something on the matter. While vague, it was still a statement, and I actually expected the Raptors to do something like this because for me, it actually makes sense why they would do something like this. However, it doesn't take away from the fact that Azotam, a former Knick that you hired, you told him, at least some people in the Raptors organization did, told him to specifically steal files from the Knicks and give them to the Raptors. These files were important player development scouting report type of files, game film files, accessed more than 2,000 times by the Raptors. This is a major scandal and a major situation going on right now. And I can tell you right now that I expect a lot of people to come out of this being fired and jobless because the NBA is definitely going to act swift to this, and they're definitely going to want to make sure that they make a statement with this so it never happens again. And I can only hope and wait to see the results on this one. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.